Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stoner Podcast. Thank you all for being here today. We are discussing the Carmelo Anthony trial. And today, the defense has rested their case in this trial. And the Texas teenager who was accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf, rest in peace to Austin Metcalf, and my condolences to the family. The defense has presented their last witness today, and we're going to talk about it. Thank you for being here. This is a very emotional case. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's very emotional and all around just terrible for both parties involved. Either way, both families are going to lose a son, right? Well, the Metcalfs lost their son, and the Anthonys will likely lose their son. So let's get started here. The first thing I want to present to you guys is we're going to take a look at this article right here. And here we go. This says teen charged with murder at Texas track meet was distraught after fatal stabbing. Witness testifies. Here is Karmelo with his defense attorney, who has not done a good job, honestly. If we're being real here, let's be real. This attorney has failed to prove. Honestly, obviously, the burden is on the prosecution, right? So let's talk about both sides. But my point was that the defense failed to prove that the defense failed to prove that Carmelo Anthony acted out of fear of his life. And the prosecution has failed, in my opinion, to prove without a reasonable doubt that Carmelo here had the right did not have the right to attack Austin Metcalf. I'll get into the details later on, but here we go. Let's go with the facts first. A teenager who fatally stabbed a competitor at a Texas high school track meet was upset immediately after confrontation and said he had warned the victim not to touch me. One of the last trial witnesses testified on Monday. Carmelo Anthony, now 19, is charged with murder in the death of Austin Metcalf, 17, at a school stadium in Frisco in April of 2025. After a midday break that lasted 3 hours, the prosecutor and defense lawyers said they had no more evidence to offer on the fourth day of trial. Anthony did not testify in his own defense, and closing arguments were set for Tuesday. So here we go. My thing here is that the defense only brought in about 3 witnesses. I'll get the correct number in a minute. So prosecution had the most witnesses. The cross-examining of these witnesses was terrible. There was no body cam footage shown, which would help to collaborate the stories of these witnesses, because if they were interviewed with body cams, you'll be able to, in fact, right the day after, obviously they weren't coached, right? The witnesses would not have been coached. Immediately, you'll get the story before any other details become more like, muddy and they won't remember certain details. So I'm not sure. Honestly, I just started following this trial because the only reason I started following it was when I heard that there were no black jurors chosen. Well, the three female educators that were chosen, um, the judge struck them or struck. Not sure what the legal term is, but apparently those three were struck. The prosecution filed something called as a Banton. Banton. Is that how you say it? Um, I forgot the term. Anyways, so the prosecution here fought to have those three female jurors removed. Um, the judge agreed. And so once those once that was made public, which was not long ago, honestly, 2 or 3 days ago or so, this trial, I'm telling you, this trial is going incredibly fast. For a murder trial, I find it quite odd. Another thing is that I'm still here. I'm still talking about the defense here because um, the defense didn't like. Obviously, we know it's the burden is to the prosecution, but the defense didn't really do much in terms of the footage, for example. Why why didn't the defense have their own expert review the footage? Why weren't there more questions presented or posed to the expert that you know, I don't have the facts, but by like at the from top of my head, that expert didn't have the footage within the year. He only had the footage 2 or 3 months, from what I recall. Okay, so I question that. I question what took so long for the footage to reach to that expert. I also question, um, come on, this is high school. You're going to tell me no one was recording? You're going to tell me in this day and age, not one kid pulled out. Actually, in fact, there was one witness, Eddie, who testified, and it appears that Eddie was well known by Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo's girlfriend's cousin or something like that. Again, I'll show you the facts, but you know, I'm just talking right now, but I'll show you the facts. Um and so this Eddie person apparently was seen pull out his phone, you know, and this is all going to be in the transcripts, guys. I can't wait to get a hold of these transcripts. Okay? In the transcripts, you will read that Eddie pulled out his phone, like to record. Let me make sure I'm not muted. Hi. Oh my God, Bianca, my love. What the hell? Bianca, where you been? I miss you. What's up, Red Man? So let me just tell you that, you know, when we read those transcripts, we will read that this Eddie character that testified, right? He pulled out his phone to record, in my opinion, because why else would you pull out your phone? He was witnessed doing this. And the police officer goes to him, "Do you happen to have a video? Did you record that?" And he said no. I think it's a lie. Why didn't the police officer confiscate his phone? Why was his phone not subpoenaed? Why was his phone not put through Cellbrite? Why? If there is video and footage that can give us a clear view of what happened underneath the tent, why didn't the defense do their due diligence to ensure that the jury would be able to see what happened, right? You need to show the jury what happened underneath the tent. According to the footage that was shown, you were unable to, you can't see anything. Can't see anything. And that's basically the prosecution's evidence. Could you also imagine that the knife, the weapon that was used and was shown in court to the jurors is not the actual weapon? Could you guys imagine that? Can you also imagine that no DNA was taken? I have yet to hear any forensics in this case. The fact that this trial was not made public, there's no videos, no cameras. What is this? This is a murder trial. This is a murder trial. What are we doing here? I mean, I know every state has their own laws, but we need to get with the program here. Texas, what are you doing? Get with the program here. There's lack of transparency in this case, and I've always said no transparency, there's it's impossible. It's impossible to have justice in this case with no transparency. We want the truth. Everyone wants the truth. Another thing here, Karmelo did not testify. Yet, I mean, I want to hear from this attorney why. I mean, obviously, it's his right. It is absolutely his right to testify or not, right? I don't know. Did they feel that he wasn't strong enough for the prosecution, for the cross examination from the prosecution? I feel that Carmelo Anthony testifying would have, I mean, you can't really say, but at least with Carmelo testifying, you can get a perspective that has not been shown in this trial. We do not know the perspective of Carmelo Anthony and if he actually acted in fear. That can tell a lot of his intent. And I believe this would have been the best way to combat all of the witnesses' testimonies, because it appears when we get the transcripts, see, this is not over. This is not over because we, the public, have yet to see the evidence. We, the public, have yet to see the evidence. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that in those transcripts, we are going to we're going to read all of the inconsistencies between these witnesses, because I am hearing a lot of inconsistencies from what's been reported so far. And the consistency that I am seeing here is that, for example, Eddie, Eddie is claiming that um, Anthony was the aggressor, not Austin Metcalf. And of course, they don't have the footage to prove either way. It's 2026. I think the footage that's being presented is, in my opinion, since trust, I just don't trust the government. So I'm just going to say that they could possibly be tampered. There's a possibility that that footage was tampered. And we're not able to, how in the world are we not able to see what happens under that tent? There's no way. I have a lot more to say, but I'm just I'm just like, you know, so far what's on the top of my mind so far. So let's continue. Prosecutors say the stabbing of Metcalf was an unjustified attack related to a dispute over whether Anthony could be under the tent of Metcalf's team during a rainy track meet. The defense attorneys insist Anthony felt threatened and believed he needed to defend himself when physical contact was made. We also hear that this kid, not only is there a proportional, what's that called? Proportional weight difference. Let me see, am I saying this right? Yeah, there was proportionately, there's a huge gap, right? So we have Karmelo Anthony. He is weighing in at 130 pounds. And Austin Metcalf was over 200 pounds. So that's about 70 pounds. And then if you factor his brother as well, because then we hear that it was two attacking Carmelo Anthony. In addition to that, Carmelo Anthony suffers from epilepsy and gets seizures. So I think it was a disservice to Carmelo Anthony for not having taken the stand, because Carmelo Anthony could have rebutted, just by his, not rebutted, but his testimony would obviously show his intent, which is needed in this case. We need to know the intent here. Now, Texas law, I'm going to tell you, so in Texas, here we go. The statute specifically says the actor must have specifically intended to cause death or serious bodily injury that results in death. The actor must have specifically intended to cause death or serious bodily injury that results in death. Okay? So you have to ask yourself here, did Carmelo Anthony, beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm a juror right now, and The judge is going to tell you, he's going to give you a booklet, read the Texas laws, right? And then he's going to tell you, okay, jury. Now, do you feel that the prosecution has proved in this case beyond a reasonable doubt that Carmelo Anthony intended to cause death or serious bodily injury that results in death? That's the intent. That's what we're missing. One of Anthony's teammates testifying Monday for the defense said Anthony was distraught after stabbing. I was hearing him say, I told him not to touch me, the witness said. Judge John Roach Jr. Roach, Roach has said young witnesses can't be publicly identified. Metcalf's death drew wide attention in part because of social media posts that amplified the case in racial terms. Anthony, who attended Frisco Centennial High School, is Black, while Metcalf, who attended Frisco Memorial High School, is white. Prosecutors rested their case Saturday in Collin County Court. Jurors last week heard from a number of people who were at the track meets, including students who said Anthony had asked to leave the tent and was the aggressor in the confrontation. This is what witnesses are testifying. They're testifying that it is not self-defense. But here's my question, because I have many questions. The prosecution literally is asking these witnesses, do you believe Carmelo Anthony acted in self-defense? And they responded. Isn't that like how? Wait, you're not qualified. Excuse me, the witness is not qualified to tell you if he acted in self-defense or not. So a lot of these questionings, I don't know. This defense attorney botched this case, in my opinion. There was no cross-examination, nothing. You guys are going to see, because I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done with this case. The courtroom was packed again Monday with spectators, including the parents of Anthony and Metcalf and younger people. The jurors will be sequestered in a hotel. And listen to this, you guys. Look how quickly this judge is trying to get through the case. The jurors will be sequestered in a hotel if they do not reach a verdict tomorrow. Okay? And they return to court Wednesday. So they have all of Tuesday. If they don't reach a verdict, they have to go to hotels and stay the night and return to court on Wednesday. Okay? The judge told them not to discuss the case with anyone, and for God's sake, do not go on social media. That's going to be pretty, what do you say? I don't know. This is difficult, right? How could you stay off social media, and expect the jury to maintain their integrity? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's bad all around. It's bad all around. I'm going to play this video that Amy sent us. Thank you, Amy. Amy, I hope you stay safe out there. I think they're getting a storm or some sort. And but here we go. We're going to look at this video. Here we go. This is via Law and Crime Network. And let's go over what they have to say here. I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here. Okay, thank you for being here. Hey, Skull, what's up? What the dilly, yo? Share. Here we go. How is everyone today? Yeah, Redman. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not going to tell me that no one recorded this. You know how kids are nowadays with social media. I'm pretty sure. And it just adds on to the, intent to, like, I don't know. Here we go. Let me know if you guys can hear this, okay? I'm going to play it now.
In the Karmelo Anthony murder trial, the jury will soon decide the fate of the former track athlete accused of fatally stabbing a fellow competitor at a Texas track meet. Was it murder or self-defense? We're inside the courtroom with details on the defense's final witness and the unexpected moment that unfolded just before the defense rested its case. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. All right, hey guys, real quick before we get to the big developments in this trial today, I need to tell you.
Thank you, Redman. I appreciate your comments here. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. There's absolutely. I just want to stand up here. Thank you, Redman. I appreciate your comments. I totally get where you're coming from. Okay. Just wanted to raise this. Redman, in order to justify stabbing someone, you have to have no other options. There were people everywhere around them. He could have walked away, gone to police, thrown fists, run, but not stabbed. I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, there's... All right, so here we go. Let's see what they say.
About this app called Upside. It gets you cash back on.
Meaning they will not be able to go home.
Okay.
You know, in McKinney, Texas. So we get back in there, 12:35. All right, 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by.
Can y'all hear? Can you hear? Can you guys hear? Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad, man. Because, for the family too, because it's such a senseless murder. It's so senseless. Like, man.
And so, all right, half an hour goes by. Long story short, Chris, we end up waiting for 1 hour and 45 minutes before something happens. And as we're sitting there, the only people we see go inside this courtroom are the Anthony family, his parents. And so, of course, the speculation starts running. Are they negotiating a plea deal? Is he going to testify? What are we waiting for? Because this is abnormal. This judge has been very prompt. He's been very on time and very, a stickler about being inside the courtroom when he says to be inside. And so we get back in there. We're, awaiting this big imminent moment, what it might be. And then the defense says they're resting. No colloquy, no asking if he's going to testify and him responding or anything like that. We didn't hear him speak. But the defense is now rested, the state not putting on a rebuttal, the state rests. So that's where we're at now, Chris. And then the jury will have the case tomorrow, of course, following closing arguments and the jury instruction. And then they'll get the case and start deliberating. And the judge also pointed out that they will be sequestered, meaning they will not be able to go home for the duration of this deliberation period. They'll deliberate as late as, 10 or 11 p.m., the judge said. And then if they decide to call it quits, they go back to a hotel to which the hotel's televisions and phones have been removed out so they can't have access to, news stories and things like this. So it'll be a very interesting thing, Chris, but it was definitely a surprising moment that they rested, pretty early. We expected this trial to go through Friday or Saturday, which it still could. We don't know how long those deliberations could be. But here we are on Monday, just the fourth day of testimony, and both sides have already rested.
Yeah, I think it was roughly 20, 21 witnesses for the prosecution, and it was over like 2.5 days that they presented their case. And then you have a total of 6 witnesses.
21 witnesses for the prosecution and only 6 witnesses for the defense. Now, I'm curious if this attorney has a tactic. I'm curious if this attorney here, let me get his name so I could Google him. I'm honestly curious if he knows this judge, if he knows the judge, and if there's a tactic to the way he's handling this case, this trial. But this is unheard of. This judge went through 20 something witnesses in 2 days, you guys. And the last 6 witnesses today. Okay? So Karmelo Anthony's attorney. So his name is Mike Howard. Karmelo Anthony is represented by criminal defense attorneys Mike Howard and Billy Clark, along with civil rights attorney Kim Cole, in his ongoing first-degree murder trial in Collin County, Texas. Okay. The legal team has been defending Anthony against charges stemming from the fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, with the defense actively arguing self-defense. Okay, the defense is arguing self-defense, but at the same time, the defense did not prove that it was self-defense. The defense did not prove. Well, how could you prove it's self-defense? Well, for one, we could have possibly proved, we possibly could have someone, an expert, a medical expert for Karmelo Anthony for his condition, right? And we can also prove, hey, perhaps he was afraid for his life because he had also just had surgery to his shoulder too. Not to mention, in addition, he just had surgery. How can the defense could have proven that way, gone that route? The defense also could have used an expert to possibly get a hold of the footage and review the evidence, review the footage, try and get as close as you can to those images, right? And see if you see if perhaps there was an assault to Karmelo Anthony. See, we don't know that. We haven't seen shit. We haven't seen shit in this fucking, and that's a whole part of having that's the whole purpose of having cameras in court. I love that LA does it, New York does it. And the whole purpose of that is for the public. And it helps because now you don't have the public speculating. In this case, tons of speculation. Why? Because all we're hearing are details from the mainstream media. We're not hearing, we're hearing what they want you to hear. That's what we're hearing from the mainstream media. We're hearing exactly what they want you to hear. We're not hearing all these other little, what's that word? Intricacies, right? Yeah, there you go. That's the word, intricacies. We're not hearing all these other intricacies of this case, We're hearing, exactly what they want you to hear, okay? So for one, This case lacks transparency for me, in my opinion. Now, this Mike Howard character, let me look him up. Hold on. So it says here that he is a prominent Dallas-based criminal defense attorney who serves as a here. Let me share my screen. Better that way. Amy, you're here. You made it. Yes. Okay. Oh, wrong screen. Hi, First Noel. How are you? Okay, so I am going to share. We're going to find out who. No, 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 no. Stop. Stop. Stop it. We are going to here. Where's that screen? Forget it. I'll just read it out here. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just going to read out read out what this says about the attorney here while I have this on the screen. So Mike Howard is a prominent Dallas-based criminal defense attorney who serves as a lead defense counsel for Karmelo Anthony in his high-profile June 2026 murder trial. He took over the case as sole lead counsel after Anthony's previous attorney, Kim T. Cole, and Billy Clark exited the defense team. I wonder why they exited the defense team. Interesting. During the trial, Howard has strongly advocated a self-defense strategy, arguing that Anthony acted out of split second of fear and chaos. Anthony acted out of a split second of fear and chaos during a confrontation at Frisco, Texas track meet. So he has a firm and practice called the Law Office of Mike Howard. He's in Dallas. He began his legal career as a public defender. So he started as a public defender. Okay. He is regularly recognized within the Texas legal community and has been named one of the best lawyers in Dallas. What date was this? In 2020, December of 2025, he was named the best lawyer in Dallas. I mean, you guys, to me, in my opinion, he didn't put up a fight. But what I was saying what I was saying is that this could possibly be a tactic. It may very well be a tactic. He may know this judge and how this judge operates his court. He's probably, playing the he has to come through with a good closing argument to explain, which he has not yet to prove, in my opinion. He has yet to prove that Karmelo Anthony acted in self-defense. But at the same time, the prosecution, in my opinion, has not proved that, like I was saying, beyond a reasonable doubt. Juror number one. Do you believe that Karmelo Anthony, beyond a reasonable doubt, did Karmelo Anthony intend and cause death or serious bodily injury? That's why Texas has that intent. There's two things under the first degree murder. Let me pull that up too. So if you're looking at the first degree murder in Texas, what do you have to prove? Okay. So let's go there because we gonna learn. I've been learning so much just doing these lives and research for these cases. I honestly, you know, here we go. So let's see what this says. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, here we go. So, to convict a defendant of a first-degree felony murder in Texas, prosecutors must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the accused caused the death of an individual under one of these three statutory definitions. That's the penal code right here. Texas law under Texas Penal Code 19.02. It does not use the specific phrase first degree murder. Instead, standard murder is automatically classified as a first degree felony unless a specific mitigation applies. They don't call it first degree murder. It's just murder in Texas. Okay. So here we go. The 3 ways to prove murder in Texas. The state must satisfy all elements of at least one of the following statutory definitions. And of course, the judge is going to prep the jury or has already prepped the jury and is going to show them this, right? So the state must satisfy all elements of at least one of the following: intentional or knowing killing. The defendant intentionally, with a conscious desire, or knowingly, with awareness that death is reasonably certain to result. Like the defendant knew. It's almost like premeditated in a sense, because you knew that by doing this, you were going to kill him and terminate him, right? Now, they have yet to prove this, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason they have not proved this is because the witness, according to the witness statements, Karmelo Anthony was distraught. According to the police reports that I read on the last episode, Karmelo Anthony. That's why I'm pissed. I'm pissed because the defense should have pulled up that body cam footage that same day. Same day. You'll get to hear the chaos. You'll get to hear the witness statements immediately before anything gets, before they forget any small details. And not only that, but according to the police report, guess what? Karmelo says he's not going to die. Karmelo did not think he was going to die. Karmelo did not think that the whatever injury that he made to him was a fatal injury. Okay? So, in my opinion, I don't believe that the intent, this part of it, has not been satisfied. Okay? Now let's look at number 2. It says intent to cause serious bodily injury. Okay. That's similar to what I was just saying. The defendant intended only to cause serious bodily injury, but not commit an act clearly of human life that ultimately caused the person's death. Well, according to this, the state must satisfy all elements of at least one. All of elements, huh? See, now that's tricky. Wait, because it's possible that this was satisfied. Just one of the three. How about this? Felony murder. The defendant committed or attempted to commit a felony other than manslaughter, and while in the course, furtherance, or immediate flight of that felony, committed an act clearly dangerous. See, this is what I think the defense actually, no, that's not a fact. But I'm seeing rumors out there that the defense attorney stated that Austin fell on the knife, but that's not been proven. Again, ton of speculation because guess what? It wasn't televised. It wasn't televised. So of course you're going to have all these speculations, you know? And people are saying all of these rumors to be true and they're not. So it really sucks. It really sucks. All right. So here we go. Let's continue. Let me continue here because this here sound, wait, can you see all of this? Can you guys see this part? Oh no. Get out of here. Scully, stop. Thank you, Skulls. I don't know. We need like a jingle or something. Thank you. You're awesome. You're awesome. 2 months. Been 2 months. Get the fuck out of here, Scully. Oh, y'all are awesome. I swear. So, yeah, this is crazy, bro. All right. So it says here that the standard burden of proof. The prosecution must establish identity. The defendant is the person who committed the crime. Causation. The defendant's specific conduct directly resulted in the victim's death, which it did. Jurisdiction. The offense occurred within the boundaries of the state of Texas. Yeah. Wow, I don't know. But let me play this and see what Law and Crime can tell us, right? I'm just like trying to figure it out myself, but perhaps they have some answers here, right? Let me share my screen. Thank you all for being here. I hope you're having a good Monday. Okay, so let me play this. Here we go. Sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm just trying to like enlarge this perfectly on the screen. You know, mainstream media keeps saying 5.5 inch blade. It's not. It's like 3 to 3.5 inch. Not that it matters. It obviously killed him, right? That was the crux of his testimony, just that. Because when I read the police report, this guy was like one of the first responders. That's what I'm saying. When we read the police report, it said he was surrounded. Why wasn't that body cam footage presented at court as evidence? Because here, now your witness clearly said Carmelo was surrounded, right? And you have that body cam footage, right? With the witness testifying to that. But then we get to trial a year later, and now you have a witness recounting what he said. I have the same plant. This plant, it reached my ceiling. I swear to God. I have the same plant. I love it. I mean, their whole lives ahead of them. Handsome, both. Handsome kids. He could have been a football star, or who knows, gone off to, what have you. He was good in school. He had a very good grade point average. He was like a nerd, so to speak. They had their whole life for this stupid, senseless murder. So here's the baseball fields. And so the dugout would have, here's the dugout, either, home team, opposing team, you know. So they were hanging out here for a while and then walked over to the tent. So sad for the family too. His dad, could you imagine? His dad said that he forgives Carmelo Anthony. He came out of his state with a statement saying he forgives him. Sad. See, I don't like that. I don't know, because then you should have the defense at cross examination possibly mentioned, but are you sure? Here's the body cam footage. These are the details you told us on this day, but now you're not sure. I don't know. So he recounted. Now he's saying that Carmelo was not surrounded. Now we have timestamps. Could you imagine this problem? Do you know how easy it is to change a timestamp on a video? Like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard after we have my Idaho 4 peeps in the chat. We've been down this hole already. We've been down this road. I meant to not hole, road. I mean, we've gone down many rabbit holes for sure. But we've been down this road with the timestamps and the tampered footage. We know it's possible. Oh, fuck. Wait, were you guys able to hear me at least? What the fuck? I'm sorry. Were you guys able to hear me at least? You guys, I'm sorry. No? Oh my Jesus. Oh my Jesus. Here we go. I'm doing this all over, okay? Please let me know. I'm sorry. Here we go. Take two. Wah, wah. No, you crying over there. All right, here we go. Let
This
me know.
video, right, from kind of perched up on the top of the stands of this football stadium. I know you've seen
Are you guys, can you guys hear me? Were you able to hear
it. It hasn't been released to the public. And it like at the time that it was presented, which I think was on the first day of this trial by the state, like we were talking about it not being the most like compelling video because you don't really see a lot. But here we are so many days later. And that is something that for someone who could be a very important witness to the defense, prosecutors were able to pull that video up once again that the jury's already familiar with and actually point this witness out and say, and they're arguing that he actually maybe didn't see things the way that he thought he did.
Absolutely. And to your point, Chris, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the video. It looks very, grainy like a gas station video because it's very wide angle. And when you zoom in, you're going to look
grainy like a gas station video, you guys? Why? It's 2026. Why are we providing evidence as a grainy video? It's 2026. Give me a freaking break here. Did you see this facility? Do you see this facility? This huge ass freaking field, turf field, football stadium, baseball stadium. And you want to provide a grainy video? Nah, get the fuck out of here, bro. Come on, let's be transparent here, please. Some transparency here, Texas. Come on.
lose quality. You can kind of make out what's going on, but it still is not the best quality video to be presenting. But at the same time, there are identifiable characters that the prosecution has made very known that they have talked about this weeks before this trial. So they've walked through, this student understood, and not only this student, but other students as well, have walked through the key players. And then we have forensic video analyst on the first day that, had the different characters spotlighted in the video. So they made sense of what was really going on.
They spotlighted certain characters, right? And I heard from someone who was inside court. I follow her coverage of this case. She noticed that certain sections that were spotlighted. Okay, cool. You're able to see some things. But when it comes to showing if Karmelo was attacked, they're not showing that. They're not showing that part of the footage. And you just got to ask yourself why, right? If you're a prosecutor and I don't know.
But yeah, you would imagine, Chris, it seems like the prosecution had a better relationship with one of the defense's witnesses. So it's a very interesting thing to see play out and then have the defense case end this abruptly.
Yeah, and now they head into closing arguments, and you kind of step back and you think, like, what is the defense of this case? And like one of the questions that we've talked about, and it's come up a lot, is like, why does he have a knife at a track meet? And it seems like just based off this police officer, and I believe the blade was 5.5 inches or more, then that would be a weapon you're not allowed to have. The blade in this situation, I think, was 3.5 inches. And it seems like just from this testimony that the argument about, it's not necessarily like, oh, well, he had a blade at a track meet, and most people have said that they don't think that a blade should be at a track meet. It's more a question of, well, it's not really illegal to have it in his bag.
Yeah, that's the ultimate question. But the thing about it, Chris, and we talked about this previously, it was never addressed as to why it was there. I mean, they could have thrown out, maybe he liked to camp. Maybe he had a job outside of work to where he lawfully had a knife on him. They did not even address that, which I thought was a major loss for the defense. Tell us why this knife was there. We know he used it. We know he made a terrible mistake and it ended in this horrible tragedy. But I felt like addressing why the knife was even there would have been, beneficial to them. But they, of course, missed that opportunity here. And, all that officer did was pretty much say it's not criminal to have a knife that's under 5.5 inches. So
they keep saying 5.5. It's not. It's like 3 inches. I mean, at the end of the day, it took his life. It took this kid's life, man. Sad. The reason why I'm covering this again, I mean, I thought it was a open shut case, and I'm realizing that we just have to bring attention to this case because more so from a legal standpoint and how, I feel as though everything has been set up for a guilty verdict, like this, Speedy Gonzalez trial. It's like, getting through 20 witnesses in one day and the defense resting after only 6 witnesses. No black jurors, because that's the main thing that got me, was the no black jurors. I don't want to make it into a race issue, but I do not want to make it into a race issue. However, the judge and the prosecution made it that way. Why weren't those 3 female educators? They worked in the school system. They would have been the best jurors, understanding how the school system works and everything. No way. After those 3 jurors were struck, they made it a race issue here, I think, in my opinion. And so that's why I'm covering the case and seeing it all through. I also want to see the transcripts. Once that is out, I want footage. I want to see the video, because we, the public, need to see for ourselves that actual transparency. And not only that Karmelo Anthony, we as citizens, we should want that. We should want to fight for our rights. We should want to ensure that Karmelo received his due process, right? It's part of our Constitution.
Again, he was only on the stand for a few minutes, Chris. I don't know how much that impacted the jury, how they're going to, take that into deliberations, but here we are. They're going to have that case tomorrow.
I know we talked early on in the state's case, and there was some very emotional testimony, it seems, when the state was presenting their case. I mean, to just think of the body cam video that was shown, the 911 calls that were made. I know you were sitting behind Austin Metcalf's family, his father, but you also saw some emotion on the jury early on in this trial. Mm-hmm. How did it seem the jury was doing today? And really even since Saturday when we talked, when you think about just how the defense presented their case, like what type of impact did it appear? And I know it can be subjective when we talk about body language and what's actually going on in someone's mind, right? But what did it appear that the jury, how they were taking in the defense's case?
Smoke break. What the hell? What the hell? I swear this is not my algorithm. I don't know why this came up. Just saying.
So, Chris, we haven't really seen much, visible emotion from the jury since when we talked previously when they were,
Good. I'm glad that the judge put him on check. I'm glad the judge put him on check, because we heard about Grumpy. We heard about Miss Barbara. You know what I'm saying?
Seeing the body cam, they weren't even that emotional, or at least I expect them to be more emotional when they saw photos of Austin Metcalf on.
Lucy, welcome to the chat. Lucy, guess what? This trial is about to be over, and we should have the transcripts. We should then be able to see the transcripts. I'm excited about that, at least.
The autopsy table, they saw 2 photos of him on the table. Then they saw 2 photos of his heart actually removed from his body as the medical examiner was explaining, you know, the injuries and the severity of those injuries. But since then, they've just been very focused. It seems like they're laser focused on every.
You know what, too? I didn't hear the defense even claim anything about Karmelo being injured at all. It's another thing. Like, how are you going to claim self-defense but not prove it? The defense failed to prove self-defense in this case. I would not be shocked if the verdict comes back guilty. Not one bit. I would not be shocked one bit. This defense did a horrible job. Again, I'm saying maybe that's just a tactic. You know, maybe he like knows how this judge operates his court. Perhaps he tried keeping everything as simple as possible, short and sweet for the jury, you know, because that's also a tactic. Because the more you feed the jury, the more, you know, the more difficult it is for them to come to a conclusion, per se.
Everything that the prosecution and the defense are presenting, both narratives, no matter what the narrative is on either side, they're really laser focused. Like I look at them, you know, I look across the courtroom to see, you know, what the vibe is among, you know, what the aura is, the atmosphere within the courtroom. But since then, for the past couple of days, Chris, they've just been very honed in, very serious, very stoic, just taking all the information in, which rightfully so, because I mean, this is a child's liberty at stake here, of course. Of course, we have a victim here that's no longer coming back. We have, again, a 17-year-old's liberty here at stake, a sad thing all around. So they want to take all the information in to make the most educated, fair decision that they possibly can, of course.
I think the prosecution and judge made this racially charged. We should not have seen this stuff on the media. We should not have seen freaking the Black Panthers show up. Why? We should not have seen that. No way. You know, all this fighting back, all this divide for what? For what? No. I think the judge and the prosecution made it racial. Why? By not allowing those 3 female jurors, Black jurors, in my opinion. I mean, not all that's in the jury is white. Obviously, we have I think there's a Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, okay? Like 4 that are not white. So that's, you know, but I just want to express that, you know, we're Americans, right? We're Americans, you know, well, not all of us in here. We're Americans, you know, we're citizens in this country who, you know, if you are, not everyone had the same experience in lives. Not everyone has the same experience, you know? That's why it's important that he should have been tried by a jury of his peers. That's why it's important, because not all of us were raised in the same culture and the same, you know, we all have different experiences. I even say that under the same roof, you can have siblings under the same roof that do not share the same experience in childhood, you know, cousins, whatever, what have you. Just it's so very, I think it was so very important for this case to have a Black juror, in my opinion.
And I know you talked about just how stoic Karmelo Anthony seemed, that his family seemed throughout the entire trial. Yeah. Just as his family was going back into the courtroom, was there any sense of emotion that you got from his family, maybe today in the courtroom as well?
So supposedly, according to the police reports, right, the knife remains under this tarp. Okay. What's this?
I did not, Chris. It's been the same story for the past 4 days. Today's day 4 of testimony, and again, very serious, very stoic. It's of course it's a grave situation that they're dealing with. Their son could go away forever. I mean, Karmelo was a son. Karmelo was a brother. That's their son. That he has loved ones as well, and they're taking in all these allegations against him just as in real time. So, but I'm looking over at them as they're walking back in that courtroom, and they were just also very serious walking back in. I looked at them when we finally got back in after that hour and 45-minute break, still sitting over there, father's arm around the mother, just, taking it all in. And then the defense, of course, rested, and then everyone left. We went back in for maybe a collective 5 minutes. So I'm sure, they're dealing with the gravity of what's really going on. Again, like you said, subjective. We don't know what's going on in people's minds. I'm sure there's all kinds of mental gymnastics going through their minds as well that may.
Let's look at this
We don't know
picture.
what's going on in people's minds.
So this is the video they were playing here. I guess, the artist Pat Lopez here. He painted this just as it was showing. That's crazy. I wonder if this is Karmelo running, and what is this depicted here? That's crazy.
Minds. I'm sure there's all kinds of mental gymnastics going through their minds as well that may not be presenting outwardly. But again, they're sitting there just stone-faced, just taking it all in like everyone else.
Yeah, and we'll see what the closing arguments are, for the defense, how they really present his side to the story, even though he won't be testifying himself. One thing I was thinking of today, just kind of.
I think that was a bad move. But then I want to hear your thoughts, actually. What do you guys think? Do you think that he should have testified or not testified? What are your thoughts? Like, I feel that he should have, because it would show the jury some emotion there and his intent. Like I said, it was important to prove his intent and his truth. Whatever Anthony's truth, we would have seen this. Then we have something to go off. Like, okay, but Karmelo's saying this, and your witnesses are depicting a completely different story. And then you compare that to his testimony and you're like, what's going on here, right? But him not having testified, now all you're going off is those witnesses' statements. I told you on the last video on this, I knew this case was going to come down to the witnesses' statements. I knew it. And I feel that that's what it's come down to. So how, as a defense, the defense did a poor job in testing their credibility, the witnesses' credibility. Poor job.
Like going through the notes is just how many people on the state side of it bluntly said in court that they did not believe that this was self-defense. And then you look at some of the defense witnesses, and I didn't get a sense of even people who had testified that, they saw commotion and all of this, and maybe they even witnessed this push and thought it was a forceful push from Austin Metcalf. I don't know if there was ever a witness and that looked to the jury and kind of similarly on the defense's side said that they believed that this was self-defense.
I want to add to this because someone who was in court stated that when Eddie, who was the prosecution's star witness, Eddie, this is Karmelo's so-called friends, right? Or mutual friends. I want to point out that when she was looking intently, she really looked intently to the witnesses and who they were looking at. And when Eddie was testifying, she stated that Eddie glanced over to Hunter Metcalf. That's Austin Metcalf's brother. After every question, Eddie would glance over to Hunter Metcalf. Again, it's so important for the state. Get it together, Texas. Get it to fucking together. There should have been it should have been allowed. Cameras should have been allowed in this case.
No, there's not one.
For something like this, it's a first-degree murder charge. Come on. What are we doing here?
Of these student eyewitnesses all said, one, they didn't think anything was going to happen. Two, all of them said the prosecutions, and actually, oddly enough, Chris, one of the witnesses on Saturday, one of the defense's witnesses, also said they felt Karmelo was in the wrong.
Stop being so cheap, yo. Stop being so cheap and hit the like, bro. It's free. It don't cost you a dime. But thank you for being here anyway. Love you.
The thing about that witness, Chris, they got up there, they put him on the stand, and the defense attorney said, you know, we haven't talked before. We only talked for 2 minutes outside here in this hallway before you got on. And that was interesting to me because, you know, there's a lot of that goes into witness preparation, you know, especially with a trial with as high magnitude and tension as this one. So I thought that was very peculiar.
Who that?
And then so they walk through the situation, and then the prosecution comes up there, and the prosecutor's like, so we've talked more than 2 minutes. In fact, I was texting your father last night. So this would have been last Friday night. So it was odd to me that it seemed as if the prosecution had a better relationship with one of the defense's witnesses. And then that defense's witness, again, said that he still believed that Karmelo was in the wrong. This is in Saturday's testimony. So I haven't heard any testimony from any of these students there so far that, you know, spoke in favor of Karmelo, which is, you know, I expected going into this, you know, maybe half and half, maybe 5 or 6 would say, yeah, you know, Karmelo was being an instigator. And then another couple would say, you know, Austin was being an instigator, which there have been some that said both of them, you know, frustrations were rising. We know how young boys get with the hormones and competitive sports and all that. So we've had some of that too, but no one's really said that this was self-defense. All of them have said that they don't see it as self-defense.
And I wonder too, because there was this, you know, the tent culture. I mean, we've learned over the last 4 days a lot about how track.
I mean, if there's a tent culture, then who's supervising this tent culture? Like, you shouldn't have kids, you know, telling people to get out of the tent during a rain delay. I don't think that's, come on, like, are you kidding? I mean, I'd understand if you're like in a heated game, heated rivalry game, then what the fuck are you doing underneath our tent? Dude, they were on a fucking rain delay. What do you mean? It should have been supervised.
Meets work in Texas. And, you know, the defense has people who say, like, it's okay to go under a tent. And then you have the prosecution, which said, you know, at track meets, it's really uncommon for an athlete to go under another team's tent. And then you have, it seems like there was a variety of answers when it comes to how strong the push was from Austin Metcalf. But then it feels like we get to that point where this stabbing took place, and it didn't seem like for the defense either, that we really had a witness that was able to look and exactly see what happened kind of within that moment. That may be what matters more.
I'm telling you, at least 5 of them busted out their phones. At least 5 busted out their phones to record. I don't know what the rules are, but Eddie's phone should have been subpoenaed. I don't know, you guys. It's late. Don't make fun of me. There should have been a warrant for Eddie's phone because there is a witness that saw him pull out his phone and had it in this motion like he was about to record. And the officer questioned him about that. We're going to see in the transcripts. We're going to see it all. And you know what? Although the case may be over, this could be a lesson. a lesson to all of us, you know? Everyone learned a lesson here.
Than anything else in this entire trial.
Yeah, and the thing about it, Chris, that moment, all of the witnesses said it happened so fast.
You know, I hope like the parents, the communities begin to have these talks with their kids, you know? First of all, knife, why are you bringing that to school? Number one, you know? How, you know, your parent, like your parent, you should be on top of your high school kid, you know? And yeah, he may have forgotten it. He may have forgotten he had the knife in his bag. I don't know. You know, we don't know. And also for the Metcalfs, you know, like this tank culture thing. No, what do you mean? What are you talking about? No, we need a better culture. Better culture.
They saw, scuffles going on, but they took it as, nothing's not going to happen. If anything, Austin will push him and he'll push him back. And then before they knew it, they didn't know somebody was stabbed until Austin lifted up his shirt and they described it as a hole in his chest. So, I mean, they might not have seen the moment. It seems like the way they describe it was in the blink of an eye. But all of them have described it as,
But that's why you want to play those body cam footages. That's why you want to play those. All of the police officers should have been called. I don't know if all were called, but all of the police officers that were at the scene, there were at least 6 of them that I read from the police report. There were at least 6 should have testified. They should have been questioned. What does this witness tell you? Tell me about this witness. We need something. We need something to either discredit their statements or say confirm, discredit or confirm, like a checks and balance. Like, what is going on here?
Something was going on, emotions were running high, but, they said they weren't really scared. They've seen, boys talk trash to each other before. They've seen this kind of, competitive nature come out. And then all of a sudden, this horrendous act.
It's not all of a sudden. There's no way. When I read one of those statements, it seems like they skip a lot of things. There's not all of a sudden. There's not from 1 to 10. There's steps to this shit. So it's not all of a sudden. It escalated.
Happens that
I don't like that all of a sudden. Oh my God, out of the blue, he stabbed Austin out of the blue. I don't like that. No.
Takes the life of Austin Metcalf. So, and it happened just like that. By the way they testified. So maybe they just didn't see it, Chris. But there's nothing there that, again,
Amy, I agree with you there. Carried out of fear. Something was prior, in my opinion. Yeah, it probably made him feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just made him feel safe. Like, no one's going to fuck with me or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? Stop. Scully, shut up, Scully. Exactly. Why he's taking the hits. Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you doing like, you decided your own fate. I'm just covering this because of the whole fucking jury thing. I didn't like that part of it. And I don't like how the defense is fighting for you, but you decided your own fate. Sorry, not faith. You decided your own fate when you took that knife out of your bag. When you pulled that knife out of your bag, you decided your own fate. Maybe fear, maybe scaring them away. I don't know, but there's footage of this. There should be footage of this. And this is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, in my opinion.
Witness testimony that pointed toward that this was actually self-defense based on their accounts.
Yeah, and I just think too of how chaotic this moment was, because, for us in hindsight, we can break down, and that's what this trial is about, like breaking down every step of what led up to this happening and what happened after it, with Karmelo allegedly throwing the knife and running away. And then, the question of whether.
See, Redman brings up a good point. He's like, it was explained to me by some people that did track. Those tents are where the team leaves their wallets, bags closed, and that is a rule that you just don't go there. Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm seeing this in a different perspective, and I appreciate your comments because I didn't think of this. Maybe their phones, maybe they have their cell phones too, with their stuff, with their belongings. I can totally see that. I can totally see that they were getting territorial with their things. You know what I mean? Like they were getting real territorial. Damn. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Or not this was all self-defense, but it just seems like from the variety of accounts from both state and defense witnesses about what happened, it just speaks to how chaotic all of this was, because it just happened so quickly. Not to put you on the spot, but I just think of these jurors now.
Put them on the
and
spot.
When they get into that jury room, they're going to be going through what they heard, these 27 total witnesses that they heard from both sides over the past 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, as you kind of think back to what you took in over the past 4 days, like, what are some of the big moments that stand out to you that the jury might have at their front of mind?
Chris, the moment that still stands out to me was from day one. I believe we talked about it a few days ago, and that's when I saw the jury get emotional, is when that coach that testified, who was also a 14-year Iraq veteran, who has seen carnage, who has seen death, who did 3 tours in Iraq. He was a coach, and he was one of the ones that, ran over and took his jacket off and started, doing the compressions and putting pressure on the wound. And, he was on the ground doing the compressions. We had another coach on the phone calling 911, to which they played that 911 call. But that coach, that was the veteran, said he's heard the death rattle before. When somebody stops breathing and in their life or their body does one last ditch effort to bring oxygen to their brain to try to save their life. And that's what we've heard, on shows and movies and stuff as the death rattle. It's a different kind of breath, your last breaths. And so he said that Austin was not breathing anymore. The coach on the phone is telling 911 that. And then you hear in the 911 call, that coach on the phone says, "Oh, he's breathing again. He's breathing again." But then the coach on the stand was saying, me being the war veteran, have seen people die before. I knew those were those types of last breaths.
You get it? That part is sad. That the war veteran who was working on Austin, he already knew that those were his last breaths. And when they were on the phone with 911, someone was like, "Oh, he heard Austin breathing." And he's like, "He's breathing again. He's breathing again." But the veteran didn't say anything because he wanted to give them hope that he would make it. So that's fucking sad.
But I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin, the hope that was surrounding. Because of course it was a bad thing, but they wanted this kid to live, his friends and the coaches around him. But that was the most emotionally impactful thing. And that's when he gave that testimony. They played the 911 call. And that's when I looked up and saw the jury, a few of them wiping some tears from the eyes with their Kleenex. So I'm sure they're going to take that into consideration. Obviously, pulling at the heartstrings when they go back into those deliberations as they, weigh the facts of this, but there's the human part of it as well.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. I had enough of that. Thank you so much. I want to get to this right here. I don't know how I stumbled on this channel, but it was very interesting what he was saying. So let me share. Okay, here we go. I hope you guys can hear this here. I'm going to play it. Am I sharing it? Yeah. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to play it here.
Today marks a turning point in the track meet stabbing trial that's drawing national attention.
Jurors have heard from the state. Now it's the defense to take its turn with arguments. Chris Sadeghi is live outside the courthouse in Collin County now, ahead of more testimony that will start later on.
Actually, this is not the one, but I'm going to play this anyway. I'll look for the other one.
On today, Chris.
Well, Matt, this will be the first full day that the defense has to present their case. They got about a half day on Saturday after the.
So again, it's been 4 days. The prosecution had 3 days, 20 something witnesses. Boom, boom, boom. Last day, only 6 witnesses or 4 witnesses by the defense. It's insane.
They rested their case. The defense, in their half day of work, were able to call a coach and a teammate of Karmelo Anthony's at Centennial to talk about the culture at track meets, particularly athletes moving around the bleachers or even underneath another school's tent. They will try to convince the jury that Anthony was not the aggressor and acted in self-defense based on the totality of circumstances. During the state's case, they called several of the teenagers who were in the vicinity of the tent, and with consistency, they testified Austin Metcalf told Anthony to leave the tent. Anthony refused while saying, "Touch me and see what happens." When Metcalf tried to push him out, he was stabbed. In our after the.
So people are taking the touch me and you'll see what happens as Karmelo provoking him, as Karmelo provoking Austin by saying, "Touch me, you see what happens." Like, sure, that could mean that, but what if we're taking it out of context? We could be taking it out of context too. Whose birthday? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Whose birthday? Hey, Suzanne, what's up? It's no one's birthday. I think Kane just wants me to sing, right? Kane just wants to hear my voice singing. I think that's what it is. Too fast to fleas. Oh, what's up? Happy birthday. She's in here. Too fast to fleas. Happy birthday. Hope you had a blast. Let me continue.
Trial special on WFA Plus on Saturday. Legal expert Kevin Harris discussed the chances of Anthony taking the stand himself.
Ultimately, it's his decision, but he's going to probably rely on whatever his attorneys are recommending for him.
So we already know he denied. It's his right. And he denied he didn't want to take the stand.
If you believe that there's any bit of evidence of self-defense that got brought out by other witnesses, then there might not be a need for you to put your client on.
One witness who was near the tent and not called to the stand by the state is Austin Metcalf's brother, Hunter.
I'm curious about this, guys. Why wasn't Hunter Metcalf called by the prosecution to testify? If he was the one who saw it all, right? Like, you're there with your brother, you saw it all. Why wouldn't you call him to testify? I'm super curious about that. Why do you guys think?
However, it is still possible he could be called to the stand once the state begins their rebuttal case. Matt, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. WFAA will be your eyes and ears in the courtroom. You can get more.
So this was from yesterday. No, he didn't take the stand. We know that. So I came across
a major development in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. After calling 21 witnesses today, the state rested its case against the Frisco teen charged in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. During rare Saturday testimony, prosecutors closed out their case without calling Metcalf's twin brother to the stand. Anthony's defense team now setting out to prove this was a justified killing. NBC5's Maria Guerrero has more from Collin County.
Only the jury seeing graphic images of the autopsy. The medical examiner detailing how the folding knife with a 3.5 inch.
See what I'm saying? Why did only the jury see the autopsy? I don't like this. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, you guys. Number one, they didn't show us the actual knife. The actual murder weapon, they did not show. Number two, so how do we know if it was a pocket knife if they didn't show it, right? Like, how do we know what type of murder weapon it is if they're not showing it, right? Then the autopsy report, they only showed the jury the autopsy report and a certain portion of the footage, only the jury. Granted, the jury's the one that's going to be deliberating in the trial, in the case, right? With a verdict. However, this case lacks a lot of transparency. And we, the public, we have the right to know.
Inch blade caused an unsurvivable gaping hole 2 inches long, 5 inches into Metcalf's chest.
They keep saying
penetrating 2.5 inches
it's
into
not,
Metcalf's
it's 3.5.
chest,
The
into
knife
his
is
heart.
3.5.
Cross-examination
Okay.
turned out to be contentious over the defense's demonstration about how its potion turned out to be contentious.
Wait.
2 inches long, penetrating 2.5 inches into Metcalf's chest, into his heart. Cross-examination turned out to be contentious over the defense's demonstration about how it's possible for Metcalf to have stabbed himself as he leaned in to shove Anthony away. The medical examiner agreeing with prosecutor Bill Werski, calling it a very dangerous assertion to leave with jurors. What's also apparent, many of the teenagers who witnessed the moments before and after the fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf have different recollections of the traumatic event that left many needing.
See? How is that different? Oh, look, someone, I like this. At least you can see some pictures. Let me screenshot this. Hang on. Because they don't show you the camera. There's no cameras. So let me screenshot this. Okay. So, I know that one of the witnesses that were called, he was asked to demonstrate how Austin pushed Karmelo. And this part is very interesting because when the defense was cross-examining, this was clever. This was clever, actually. When the defense was cross-examining this witness, because the witness told the prosecution that Austin pushed him with one arm. I mean, listen, you guys, this is part of the trial. I just want to preface this. Let's get this straight. Okay. I'm in this channel right now, this episode, I am in no way stating that Austin provoked Karmelo or vice versa. I'm not saying that, right? And I'm not stating that Austin attacked Karmelo because we obviously don't have the footage. We don't know. I'm just honestly giving you accounts as to what I am hearing from people that were reporting and that were inside the court. Okay. So according to this report, the prosecution, upon questioning the witness stated that Austin pushed Karmelo with one hand, with one arm, one hand. That's how he pushed him. And when the defense went to cross-examine the witness, he said, okay, I want you to demonstrate to me without asking any questions. He's like, I want you to demonstrate to me how Austin pushed Karmelo. And that he immediately put both hands up. That he put both hands up to push him. And guess what? The defense said, that's it, Your Honor. That's it. That was his only fucking cross-examination. And you could clearly see, according to his hand motions, it was 2, not 1. Okay? So a lot of these witness statements are not, you know what I'm saying, you guys? It's like Idaho, it's kind of like the bullshit they're pulling at Idaho. I'm sorry. Come on, these small towns.
In counseling, the inconsistencies continue in who all said what, how much of a role the victim's twin brother had in the verbal altercation, what cuss words were used between both boys. But they agree Anthony provoked Austin into getting physical, no one imagining he was really armed, calling the stabbing an unjustified murder. New to Memorial's track team and not really friends with the Metcalfs, one boy said he was weirded out when Anthony, a stranger, randomly sat down next to him and only said, "Crazy weather, huh?" To which he agreed but went back to his phone, testifying that moments later it was not Austin but another teammate who noticed Anthony and asked, "Who is this guy?" To which Anthony said, "I'm a nobody," leading more teammates to demand he leave, Austin the only one to get physical. Another key witness prosecutors called the common denominator between Anthony and Memorial. The young man the defense team says Anthony went to hang out with immediately looked to distance himself from any real friendship with the defendant, despite picture evidence. Up first for the defense, Centennial's track coach testifying.
Oh, that part, you guys. Bro, Eddie, I guess I shouldn't be saying any of these minors' name. Well, it's just the first name. I'm not like doxing them or anything, and they're minors. Their names shouldn't be out there. They should obviously be redacted in this case. Dude, guess what? When the prosecution was questioning Eddie and asking him if he knew Karmelo Anthony, and Eddie's like, no, they don't know each other or anything. Bro, when the defense cross-examined and asked the questions, and Eddie again, he's saying no, he doesn't know Karmelo. They're not friends or anything. Tell me that the defense pulled up the receipts. He pulled up the fucking receipts on the screen when they were together at a party or whatever. Like a few pictures showing clearly Eddie at I don't know if it was a show or something. They were somewhere hanging together, whatever. So like, it's just crazy how
they didn't bring their team tent despite the rain.
I mean, at least the defense did that. He was able to discredit Eddie's testimony.
Because they didn't have enough students to put it up. The coach agreeing with the prosecutor, saying he was shocked to find out one of his athletes stabbed another teen and said,
I mean, look at the size of this, you guys. Look at the size of this school. Oh my God. I don't know. I wonder how many people this stadium fits. Holy shit. I mean, they got money.
Anthony should have been down on the field.
Look at that. Wow. This is a high school stadium. It looks like, well, I guess my high school stadium was about the same size. I mean, everything's bigger in Texas too, so everything's bigger.
Not up in the bleachers. Anthony's own friend also agreeing that while they've previously sat under Memorial's tent, if someone had asked him to leave, he would have. Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Kevin Harris was in the gallery for Saturday's testimony.
Yeah, that's also a good point there. Like, he was asked to leave many times. He was asked to leave. Well, according to witnesses. Now, like, how credible are these witnesses? You know what I'm saying? But he was asked to leave many times. You know? I mean, I imagine it may have escalated from there. I think. What's up, Liv? Thanks for joining. How are you? Yeah, I agree. Yes. Once you provoke, exactly, Liv, because once you provoke, then self-defense is out of the question, right? I don't think that the defense I don't think the defense did a good job. They did not do a good job in establishing so the self-defense theory or arguments, I should say. Yeah. Thank you guys. Oh my God. Okay, let me continue this and I'm going to show you this new channel I came
I mean, I believe that they feel that they've proven their case. I mean, I think they felt comfortable. The fact that they didn't call the twin brother. From the defense, as they call their witnesses, it's been interesting because there are some things that they've been able to pull out of their witnesses as well. And so I think there are a lot of times where, just like everything, you wait, hear the whole story, wait till the whole case is presented before making judgments.
Right.
Well, now the big question, will Karmelo Anthony testify in his own defense?
He didn't. We know he
We'll
did.
be back in court on Monday. Maria Guerrero, NBC5.
Again, no cameras allowed in the courtroom, but our crew inside is keeping a live blog. You can find it on NBCDFW.com and by downloading our NBC DFW app.
Okay. So that's that. Here, let me go here before. I just want to pull some interesting stuff here. 1 second. Because let's go here. Lauren. Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen. Hi. How are you? Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Hi, Ron Robert. Welcome to the chat. Okay, so here's what I want to show you guys. Let's go to this video. Where you at, Lauren? Where you at, girl? This guy. Okay. So I want to play this and then I want to read this thread because it's very controversial and sort of informative. Okay, so here we go.
She heard.
Let me go to the YouTube better.
Tent, you know, about
Yeah,
like
I'll go
get
to the
out or
YouTube.
whatever, but it wasn't a fight, and obviously.
Or whatever
Yes.
you've done, right?
I was in New Hampshire this weekend, but Mark and I have been talking a lot about the Karmelo Anthony murder trial, and you know,
what am I, a lawyer who I will not publicly humiliate, when I asked her about the Karmelo Anthony case, said, why does anybody care about the basketball player?
I knew that was coming. I said that my
It's
husband
not
said the same
Karmelo
thing. I was like,
Anthony.
no, it's not. So it's like, no, I don't have time to.
No, I remember
I don't have time
completely
to
unrelated, but
explain
thinking
that it's
because I'm
not
sitting in
Karmelo
New York and the
Anthony.
Knicks are in the finals, I remember Zimmerman from
He's the-
the Messiah blonde.
All right, let's go to the meat and
That
potatoes.
it was raining at some point. At least that is
big
one
deal.
of multiple schools.
Here we go.
Yeah, and at this there were multiple schools. And so Austin Metcalf, he was 17 years old. He was a twin. He went to Memorial. And then you have Karmelo Anthony, also 17 years old. He went to another high school.
And I think it's important that there has been testimony in this case that one of the reasons for the tent was that it was raining at some point. At least that is one of the things that is a significant fact or a finding of fact that needs to be addressed also.
And of course, so that has been a point of contention because there's been reports, when Karmelo went under the Memorial tent.
Amy is correct. There is a Texas law that you can, but you have to meet a certain criteria. It's honestly you have to actually read the penal code and all of that, but she's right. Hopefully he talks more in detail on this. However, she's from New York, he's from LA or California somewhere. So unfortunately they don't know Texas law well, but I like the arguments they had back and forth. That's why I'm playing it.
it wasn't raining that hard. I mean, and so it's a thing. But I mean, just again,
So
just
Karmelo is accused of one stab with a knife that has been identified as 3.5 inches
yes,
through the heart of the young man who was also, as you mentioned, 17, who died, and that this took place after an encounter under the tent where everybody seems to agree, and I don't think it's disputed, that it was.
No, Scully, because he's not testifying. That's why he should have taken the stand and showed the jury, because you want the jury is what's going to jury is who you need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this was committed because you were acting in self-defense. So he should have taken the stand to testify, and from his perspective, what his emotions, what he was going through, right? And he's not, because perhaps the defense felt that he was too weak for the prosecution, because once the prosecution cross-examines you and you're stuck and they're able to, I mean, what's the worst question the prosecution would ask that you'd be stuck, right? Because I went through that scenario through my head, like in my head. I was like, but wait, what is the worst thing the prosecution could tell you? If you're saying the truth, it's truth. You have to speak your truth. Who else is going to know your truth but you? You know? I don't know.
The tent connected to the deceased's team and not Karmelo's team.
yes. And so you're correct. So this is the memorial tent. But Karmelo, he entered first. I know that he entered first before the other students got there. And so when they got there, it was kind of like, the whole, like, this is our locker room. It wasn't just.
And so people understand, I don't know if you've got a picture. If you do, you can put it up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an enclosed 4-wall structure. It was poles, at least looking from.
I mean, Mark, we know what a tent looks like, Mark. Give us a break here.
The pictures that I believe were entered into evidence with an awning or umbrella-like top over it.
Yeah.
There are some pictures that have been entered in as exhibits that look like a drone or aerial view.
Well, and by the way, I'll put this up before I switch the text. That's Austin, yes, and that's Karmelo. Okay, so these are the style of tents that you're sort of talking about.
Yeah, there is a picture somewhere.
Oh my God. Are you
Lauren,
kidding me with
it looked was a Go Victory challenges, and there are no African Americans on the jury.
Okay,
as I mentioned,
this is an
there
important
was
discussion
a
here.
GoFundMe. The GoFundMe had a theme of that a lot of people characterized as racist. The prosecution has been accused of being racist because they exercise peremptory challenges and there are no African Americans on the jury, which to my mind is suspect to begin with. The counter argument.
I mean, this is an attorney, you guys. This is an attorney saying that it's suspect. Look at Lauren's eyes. Lauren can't believe he just said that. Yeah, it's suspect. Give me a break here. Come on.
Oh, yes. And then not only are there no African Americans, but the prosecution apparently exercised peremptory challenges against the African Americans who were in the veneer.
Peremptory challenges. Let me Google that real quick. Hold on. Oh, we gonna learn today. Peremptory. Okay. It says peremptory challenge is a right in jury selection that allows attorneys to dismiss a potential juror without stating a reason. What? Bro, hold on. I gotta show you this. You guys gotta read this with me because I can't believe what I'm reading. And I don't like it. check this out. Let me make this bigger a little bit. Okay. Can you see? Yeah. Okay. A peremptory challenge is a right in jury selection that allows attorneys to dismiss a potential juror without stating a reason. Each side is granted a limited numbers of these strikes, which they can use based on an instinct, hunch, or strategy to shape the jury. Okay, I get that part, but the three are the black female educators. The three are the black female educators, you guys. During the voir dire jury questioning phase of a trial, both the prosecution and defense interview potential jurors. Attorneys may remove jurors in two primary ways. Challenges for cause. Attorneys provide a specific valid reason why a juror cannot be fair or impartial. For example, they personally know the defendant. The judge must approve these, and they are unlimited. So you want to talk about racially charged case. You're going to talk about racially charged case that started with the prosecution and the judge. So give me a break. Peremptory challenges. Attorney dismiss a juror without needing to give an explanation. Boom. I'm telling you, the rumors are that they were dismissed because they personally stated that they will not convict Karmelo Anthony. That's what's being said. That's what's being said out here. But according to this, baby, they don't even need to provide an explanation. And that's what they did. They did the Batson challenge. I remember. Yeah, I was looking for this. Okay, here we go. I was looking for this word. The Batson challenge under the landmark Supreme Court case, Batson versus Kentucky, it is unconstitutional to use a peremptory strike to exclude a potential juror based on race. Then, boom. You know what happened? That the defense said, okay, prosecution removed the 3 female black jurors. Then the defense said, boom, hit them with the Batson challenge. Guess what? It said it is unconstitutional to use this to exclude a potential juror based on race, ethnicity, or gender. That was the defense. The defense argued this. And guess what? The judge still approved the removal of these 3 jurors. And that's why I'm stuck on that. This is why I'm stuck on this case. Let's go back to what Mark is saying, because, I mean, I thought it was me, but it's not me. Hold on. I mean, I'm like, hang on, am I just thinking too much into this? No, I'm not. This is fucking sus. Okay, here we go.
Or the judge kicked them off for cause. Yes, and then not only are there no African American is suspect to begin with, the counter argue, oh yes, and then not only are there no African Americans, but the prosecution apparently exercised peremptory challenges against the African Americans who were in the veneer, or the judge kicked them off for cause. The counter argument to that is that the people who were Black African American had indicated that they could not be fair. It's an interesting backdrop. Just this past week in California, the California Supreme Court addressed the use of peremptory challenges by the prosecution. I don't think that, frankly, my opinion, prosecution should ever be able to use peremptory challenges. Why? They've got the burden of proof. Why do they care? Why do they get to just willy-nilly, without any explanation, get to exercise peremptories anyway? Where we sit today is it's a There are no blacks on this jury. It is a 17-year-old black kid. It is, by all accounts, outside of the courthouse, a tinderbox. Now, the battleground of this case is
he's 19 now, by the way.
Huh?
He's 19 now, just saying.
Correct. And he's being tried as an adult, even though
Can you guys hear?
he was a juvenile at 17 at the time. The battleground of the case is, I believe that it's fairly indisputed that there was some kind of rain or inclement weather. He went in, Karmelo Anthony went underneath the tent, and that's where they diverge to some degree. You can see by the direct and the cross. There is testimony about some witnesses have said Karmelo.
No, Redman, you're right. I don't like it. I don't like that. Why are you know? But at the same time, the media started it up. What do you think? They did it to themselves. That state did it to themselves, because I think had he been provided the proper, due process, and a jury of his peers, I don't think this would be a big deal, bro. I don't know. But I'll go there too. Thank you.
Was asked to leave as many as 15 times.
Yes, and by multiple people as well.
Correct. There is also testimony that as to what he said and what his attitude was.
Yeah, well, that's a big deal too.
Correct. And then the reason for that, I'll get to in a sec. There's also testimony as to, and I think that the prosecution is not going to shy away from this, that the twins, one of them or both, had put their hands on him first, where when Karmelo Anthony had his hand in his either bag or backpack and had made a statement, if you're going to make me or you're going to try to make me, something to that effect, that you came to the right place. There's disputed there. You can give.
What happens is what he allegedly said, but then he also says that he said, I told them not to touch me or something, and they wouldn't stop or something like that. He tells police after, but there's no witnesses to corroborate that. But Mark, let me just ask you this, and let me point this out. Let's say either Austin or his twin brother did put his hands on Karmelo Anthony. The answer to that is not forced to the point.
So people understand, there is testimony. There are adults, more mature adults, who have testified that the one or both of the twins had put their arms or hands on him as if to shove him. Right. That there is a weight disparity, that the twins are well over 200 pounds. This kid is smaller in stature, maybe 50, 60 pounds
130,
less.
70 pounds.
The push has been described as a touching all the way to a shoving, and has not been characterized as a blow to the head or anything like that. Correct?
Yeah. And it said that he was sitting down. That's a fact. He was sitting down.
Yes,
correct. But remember, we're now in the defense case.
Right.
The question, and then supposedly so far, the hand of the accused is in the bag. They push, he pulls out and stabs once.
Yes.
One time with a 3.5-inch blade, which there's been much talk about. However, so the people understand.
It's just so awful, right? It's so awful for the family. It's really sad for the family. So stupid.
All of the other things you and I just talked about, all of this revolves around, and the factual determinations the jury's going to have to make is, was this reasonable? If it was a reasonable reaction, then you're arguing self-defense, meaning, where people, I think, get a little confused here, or maybe there needs to be some clarity. If the defense is arguing he was in reasonable fear at that time, or had an apprehension of, can he escalate this to defend himself with one swipe? Now, if it's a soft touch, I think most people, the argument would be of the prosecution, he ramped it up, and that's murder. The defense would say, well, if he had a reasonable fear and he did this reflexively as a defense to being shoved or attacked, that could be self-defense for an acquittal.
The defense didn't prove that, though. The defense didn't prove that he was being shoved or attacked. The defense didn't prove that.
If it's the Lauren Conlon rolling of the eyes, turning a little red,
I just
not
can't.
buying any of this, hold on. The law does not necessarily mean you go from not guilty to murder. There is.
I agree.
Right.
I
You
agree.
can have unreasonable use of force that does not transform into murder. It mitigates the malice.
I have said this. I have literally said, and look, I'm at the point where I'm like, look, dude, you did not have to, even if you felt like the force was too much, you're 2-on-1, you're at a track meet, you can run away. There's a parent there. It's 9:30 in the morning. That's fine.
Exactly. Why wasn't anyone? No one. Where's that one person to break up the fight? Where's that one person with the sense to want to say, dude, nah, like break them up? None of that.
That's. I know it's a murder case, but I'm going to have some fun with that.
Oh shit!
It's a track meet. You could run away.
Sorry.
Okay.
I knew it. Sorry. And I wasn't even thinking that. I was honestly just thinking to myself, like, you're not in a dark.
If he's a sprinter, that's something I'd use if I was the prosecutor.
No, really. But it's true. And you're not in a dark alley alone where you know what I mean? There's lots of people around. That's number one. Number two, I mean, these are high school kids we're talking about. One girl testified that she heard talking coming from the next tent, about like get out or whatever.
Yep.
But it wasn't a fight.
Yeah, Liv, I read the police report, and he tells that the officer that testified today, Officer Flores, he told him it's not alleged, I did it. They should have showed the body. I don't know if they showed the body cam, actually. Maybe they did. Yep. He's crazy. I can't believe he did it. He admitted to it, but I don't know.
And obviously, any high school kid, if they're sensing a fight, they're going to film it and put it on TikTok. They're all going to drop what they're doing and go running. And she just moved on with her life. Not one kid has a video of any of this because it wasn't what I think the defense is.
Welcome. It's not my opinion, not yours. Welcome. You think he's going to walk? Wow.
Trying to say it was. Now, with that being said, Mark, I agree with you. I don't necessarily think this is murder one. I don't think Karmelo Anthony came into the track meet.
Oh my God. I'm going to go to the comments because the comments get real after this. But we know in Texas there's no murder one. What Lauren is trying to say, it shouldn't be a murder trial. It should be a
that day and said, I'm going to step. You know what I mean?
What do you call that?
I don't think that.
If you're going to at least look at this from the prosecution standpoint and accept their theory, it is not murder one. And for those who are saying that he's lucky he's not getting the death penalty because he was 17 and not 18, you're smoking crack, that this is not a death penalty.
Yeah, it's not a death penalty case. First of all, he was 17 years old, so I don't think in Texas you can get the death penalty. And in Texas, they only have murder, capital murder, and I forgot what the other one is. Second degree murder. And then manslaughter is what she's trying to say. It should be manslaughter.
Case, period, end of story. No matter how you want to characterize it. At the same time, the unless there's something that comes in.
You're good. Thank you for joining.
But something more that comes in, or arguably he takes the stand. And most of the time in a case where you've got self-defense, imperfect self-defense means you're basically admitting culpability as opposed to self-defense where you're saying, I didn't do anything wrong. And then you have this issue as to whether it's excessive force. And the excessive force is a determination of what the person perceived who's using the force.
And Carmelo Anthony admitted to this immediately. Apparently,
Yeah.
police said he allegedly did it. He started
Yeah, we
crying.
know.
I think he realized that,
Yep,
it's
and
not
he started
technically a
crying.
kid,
Yep.
but
Should have reseated those black jurors, or should have just said, "I'm going to send for a new."
Oh, he brings it up again. Listen, the juror part. I want to go there after this ad from your
Turn on share.
from safety at every turn. He repeats it here after,
See this scrap?
after this next ad for number 1 rated.
Grand. Now watch this.
Here we go.
yeah, it sounds like this judge, even by having court on Saturday, he really wasn't wasting.
He was not wasting any time. Speedy Gonzalez. Quick. Bro.
Any time, and Cody said that it wasn't even a half day, it was literally 9 to 6 on a Saturday. So I think what you said makes sense. You should literally go out and panel new black jurors. That would make the most sense to
Well, or just get something that's representative of the community.
Yeah,
absolutely. I read that on our last live. Jules commented us and provided some legal language as it relates to a jury of your peers and what does that mean, and it should be a representation of your community. Now, was the jury a representation of Carmelo's community? It's a fair question to ask, right? But let's go. Wait, I think I don't typically follow Mark Griegos. I really don't lean on mainstream media, but I like his points here. And he is a defense attorney.
Doesn't even react. But it's like, you're a kid. I mean, 19, I guess, it's not technically a kid, but still.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's just a horrific case, and race has been injected into it, and there's people on both sides who are talking about it. The prosecution did nobody any favors by asking for the removal of black jurors. The judge, if I had been presiding over this, God knows I'd never be a judge in a million years, but the judge either should have reseated those black jurors, or should have just said, "I'm going to send for a new veneer."
Yes.
It sounds like this judge, even by having court on Saturday, he really wasn't wasting any time. And Cody said that it wasn't even a half day, it was literally 9 to 6 on a Saturday. So I think what you said makes sense. You should literally go out and panel new black jurors. That would make the most sense to us.
Well, or just get something that's representative of the community.
Right there. Get something that's representative of the community. What do you see outside of the courthouse? What are you seeing? You're seeing a combination of white, black. You're seeing a lot of that. Why not get a jury that's a representation of that? That judge failed, and right there, that was the big.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that we have a public trials is and one of the reasons you have juries is they're supposed to be representative of the community. And if you're a prosecutor and you're saying, well, they couldn't be fair, they said they couldn't be fair, blah blah blah, well, guess what? Then you're what's the message you're sending? And that's a little much. Now, one of the other things, and I mentioned to you beforehand, I wish I'd talked to the defense lawyer prior to today. There was some reporting, I think about a defense witness, and the reporting at least is saying that the witness backfired.
Well, so apparently
Live 100%. It's not. It's one Hispanic, one Asian, one Middle Eastern, and the rest are white. A combination of ages, like older, younger, but no blacks. And I kind of see a problem with it, but that's just my opinion. And I understand yours too. I understand people that don't see an issue with it. I see it as perhaps, just be able to understand certain experiences, for a trial like this.
The defense.
And that's an interesting question about the appeal too. I'm interested about the appeal question I put up here. I wonder if he can, like, how does that work? But I guess we'll get to that bridge once we cross it.
From what I am hearing, does seem to be a little bit off so far, but it's obviously very early. But I think a lot in their cross examinations as well. And also, side note, before I get to that, the fact that I don't think, and I haven't seen anywhere that they've explained why he has a knife. Wouldn't that come in during opening statements? Like maybe something happened to him. Maybe he needs it for, I don't know. But
I think Amy posed this question in chat about this. Yeah, maybe like prior fear of something. That's a very good point too.
But like explain that to us.
Not that it matters. It doesn't justify. It does not justify what he did. At the end of the day, he committed the murder. He admitted to it. He did it. I think, the charge and the way how this case is being handled is I'll reserve my opinions. But.
Well, it's interesting to me that people, especially Texas, is notorious for being an open carry style state, and the trend in the last.
Well, we now heard today's testimony is that it was legal. In fact, it was legal for him to carry that. It was not unlawful.
Last 20 years has been that weapons, everybody should be able to have a weapon. So I find it ironic that a lot of people who are complaining about the fact that a kid had a 3.5-inch knife are the same people who are saying you should be able to carry a gun in public. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, all I can think about, I often invoke him as my father, who used to love to carry around a Swiss Army knife. But after 9/11, he kept getting it confiscated when he go into courthouses, and he used to drive him to the point of distraction. There are people who carry knives and who use the knives for non-assaultive purposes.
Liz, I love the discussion. For real. But then why did they say that, Liv? I heard that. They said that it was not unlawful for him to carry. Am I missing something maybe, Liv? I could be missing something, but I love your discussion, girl. Okay.
And a 3.5-inch knife is not exactly like you're carrying around back in Fentanyl Alley at Alley Mag a machete. So.
Well, I actually was going to say, I think 3 inches in New York is that's the legal blade.
A lot of jurisdictions, 3 or 3.5 is kind of the bright line.
I'm fairly certain. But everything you were saying, let's say you were acting as his defense attorney, I'm calling BS, because I just don't think it's plausible for someone to push you and for you to think that's reasonable force for you to pull out a knife and stab him when you were in broad daylight with 1 million people at a track meet. You scream, you run, you don't stab someone. That's how I feel.
Again, it's not a house, so it's not stand your ground, but there are jurisdictions where stand your ground means you don't have to retreat. California is not one of those, but in your house, you've got the castle doctrine. But the idea is, and what I believe the defense is trying to say, and trying to prove, is he was surrounded. He was surrounded, meaning he had.
The defense failed to prove he was surrounded. But the defense failed to prove he was surrounded. I'm telling you, you guys, once those transcripts come out, he only made 2 good points. Honestly, he only discredited Eddie's testimony about Eddie not being his friend. He discredited him, right? And there was something else he said. Oh, about like when he asked a witness to show me how Austin pushed Karmelo. And after testifying that he only pushed Karmelo with one hand, when he went to demonstrate, he actually used both hands. So Other than that, this defense attorney sucks.
More than one person around him. They clearly were of bigger stature. They then started the altercation. By starting the altercation, that there could be force that was used. And if this kid, the accused, thought, there's no way I'm going to fight my way out of this with my fist, I'm going to slash once and then run, thinking that would do it. And to consistent with that theory is the fact that immediately he blurted out he's not going to die or something to that effect.
Right. I mean, did they play that body cam? Did we hear it out of his mouth? No. Maybe he should have took the stand.
Well,
I didn't think that I was. The wound is horrible, obviously, because it's one stab right into the heart. I mean, that's why the coroner's testimony is so devastating for the defense.
Well, apparently it's been heart-wrenching to hear some of the testimony from the coaches. One of the coaches was a military vet.
You heard that story,
I'm told, like very hard. But going back to the defense, there's a couple things. There was one witness that the defense had spoken about in their opening statement, a guy named Eddie, who they were kind of like, yeah, Eddie was dating Karmelo's cousin or something like that. And he's friends with Karmelo. And Karmelo went in there to see him. But then in turn, Eddie was also a witness for the prosecution, kind of saying what they wanted him to say there, or getting out of him what they wanted to say.
Well, one of the interesting things about, I know that when you're watching this on, or if it's getting fed to you through the internet, one of the problems is it's always like a sports kind of
the worst.
Yeah,
that's smart. That's why I got to be there.
Which is why it's so much better when these cases are televised, because then you understand.
Yes.
No witness, even though you may call the witness, if the witness is being truthful, or at least trying to be truthful, is going to cut both ways. I've yet to meet a witness who is 100% pristine. I even called a nun once in a trial, and she was about an 80%. So there's always a downside.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I wish I was there, and of course I think this should be televised for what you said at the beginning, because this is going to turn into a huge race war outside. There are already people holding up signs.
Yeah, let's see what's going on out there. Wow. This is crazy, right? Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go to, I think JLR has some content. JLR investigates. Okay. Let's go to his YouTube. And he was posted out there. So let's take a look at some footage here live. Share my screen. All right. So yeah, this is the page I am taking it from. Now let's see how this goes. Streamed 9 hours ago. Here we go. I will link this to the description. Thank you, JLR, for providing.
Good morning. All right, folks. Come on in live at the Collin County Courthouse. Karmelo Anthony trial. People are lined up outside the courthouse. Come on in, folks. I am here in McKinney, Texas. It's a windy day out here. Heavy police presence. They're out here. Armed police out here in McKinney, Texas, just north of Dallas. I'm setting some things up, and then we will get started. I'll take you around, walk around. Looks like it's interesting out here, for sure. Good morning. We're going to cover the Karmelo Anthony trial. You know about this case. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Teenagers. Karmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf. Terrible tragedy occurred in Frisco, Texas. Seems like a lot of organizations are building up around here. Let me show you the scene. Current scene. Current scene.
Like, is that necessary right now? Like, that's not necessary. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything. Let's see.
What's up with that? What's all
I'll
that?
be here the whole trial. I don't know. I just feel present.
Why?
I just feel present.
Because you have a position in this case, or?
No, I have no position. I don't know either party. I've never met Karmelo's family. I'm a journalist and a media reporter, but since I've been here, there has been, you know,
I don't like when they say that some of
things.
women. We don't play that around here.
Yeah, I'm a woman. I'm not a man.
And I trust me. Ain't nobody gonna let somebody let you walk. I'm straight here.
Nah, you good. Yeah, no, I know I'm good. My uncle was right here.
Anyway, I'm
I'm just making sure
just
he
know I
on
got
alert.
your back too. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
how's the atmosphere in there? Like
the atmosphere inside,
Yeah.
it was it wasn't that tense. It was just they were getting through the witnesses a lot quicker and stuff like that. So yeah. So let me go to my car. Feel safer over there where I have my where I have my.
Wait, why wasn't she feeling safe? What was going on?
I don't know if we're supposed to follow or what. Are we supposed to follow?
That's the courtroom sketch artist, by the way. She's showing you a picture over there.
Oh, really? Courtroom sketch artist?
Right there.
Let's go look at the sketch artist. Oh, we got a courtroom sketch artist.
I mean, it doesn't look bad, honestly, except for the Black Panther being there, right? It doesn't look bad. What do you guys think?
Okay. All right. All right. Courtroom sketch artist.
You got it.
Oh.
You got it. This is paid for.
Copyrighted on a public street?
Yeah.
Copyrighted on a public street?
Yeah.
I mean, we're we're out here broadcasting on a public street.
I know.
So if you want to block me, they got 8,000 people watching.
This is how she makes a living.
Oh, she does?
Yes.
So what's going on like with it?
It's just courtroom sketches.
Okay, cool. All right. You guys be safe.
If you want to pay to get in.
Oh, excuse me. I don't know why you said the state. Sorry, but the defense may rest.
Really soon?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So that means
That's
if the defense rests today or tomorrow, this thing could wrap up by Thursday.
Exactly. So
Holy smoke.
It's being wrapped up tomorrow, I think.
I'm there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
No, Wednesday, yeah. Because they have all day Tuesday. If they don't come back with a verdict Tuesday, they stay the night at a hotel and come back Wednesday. Again, come back to court. I don't know.
What's your
Crazy.
opinion on Karmelo? Guilty or innocent?
Innocent.
Okay. You know, we hear from everybody and we want to hear everyone's perspective on it. And I like hearing from people that are in there, people that are out here, people that haven't even watched the case.
I mean, I would say innocent for the charge. I don't think the charge matches the crime, in my opinion.
Because the knife was 3.5 inches long. It wasn't 5 inches. They lied in the police report and said it was 5. But the officer that was in there Friday clearly said it was 3.5, which is not against the Texas State Penitentiary. I'm from it. It's not against it. It's not a crime. So we're not talking about.
So you could have a 3 inch on
3.5. It was 3.5 inches. It wasn't 5. I took my notes very well. It was 3.5 inches. It was not 5. So that automatically says he's able to have that, which is prohibited as far as the school.
Yeah.
But it's not the school fighting it; it's the state fighting it. So we got to differentiate which is which. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where the catch-22 is. Yeah. I heard the 911 call. I seen the body cam footage of, also I do see a lot of doses laying on the ground. I see everything. So it gets pretty hectic in there, of course, when they show actual footage. But
I mean, what's the jury like when they're seeing things? What's the jury looking like?
Well, some are asleep. At least to that.
Jurors are sleeping.
Yeah, some of them are sleeping.
What?
Some are tuned in, some are agreeing, and then some are You know, so it's kind of up in there.
What do you think they're going to rule? What do you think? Like, based off what you just said,
I feel like one jury is going to go for Karmelo Anthony. That's going to be hung jury.
Hung jury. So you're predicting hung jury.
Hung jury.
Where do people find you?
My name is Queen88. You can find me on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook.
Okay, let's listen to
Remain focused
here. And then I'll end it here and I'll come back with the verdict. And after the verdict, you guys, it's not over. After the verdict, I want to get the transcripts and the body cam and everything. If I'm allowed, I don't know. But yeah, sure, he'll go to jail for the rest of his life. Cool. I mean, not cool in the sense that, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I still want to investigate the investigation, if that makes sense. He'll actually probably appeal too. You never know.
Mic test 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Mic test.
Talk again, Dave.
Mic test 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Mic test 1 2.
What the?
fundamental to our No, they did it early. They lunch break early. They lunch break early. Oh, coming now. We're doing it now. Sorry, okay, give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, thanks, man. All right, I'm going to try to read the statement. Just to start off, I'm Minister Dominic Alexander, President of the Next Generation Action Network. Our organization holds a responsibility to make sure that we continue to protect our democracy. When emotions is high and opinions is divided, over the last week, we have witnessed a growing tension outside of the court.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong. I think it's more on social media, if we're being quite honest. What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't see nothing bad happening.
Should be a peaceful environment where people should be able to exercise their First Amendment right, has increasingly become a space where individuals appear more interested in creating conflict than respecting the judicial process. The Next Generation Action Network respects peaceful protest. We respect a peaceful assembly. We support the right for people to advocate, pray, speak, and stand for what they believe in. Those rights are fundamental to our democracy. But we do not support chaos. We do not support intimidation. We do not support threats. We do not support individuals who come here to sole purpose on provoking conflict and creating division. Our message for those supporting Karmelo Anthony is simple. Do not allow yourself to be baited in.
I talked to Tiffany Billions and other people over the network, and there was a meeting in Chambers a couple hours ago, and they came out of Chambers, and after that, the prosecutor went over and talked to the Jeff Metcalf's lawyer, family lawyer, who's the lawyer for Hunter, okay, whom I believe should be charged with felony murder, but that's not a matter. So apparently, it appears that Jeff started shaking, got very anxious, and it appears that the defense is going to call Hunter at this point. So, I don't think Hunter can invoke the fifth because he's not been charged with anything yet. So he's got to talk. And I think, obviously, given the history of Hunter's statements, his widely ranging statements as to who was standing where, who was sitting where, all those things are going to come out. A number of inconsistencies in his statements, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So in a few hours, we'll have more information. But that's what I got right now.
Okay. Yes, for the update. Sure. Anyone else want to give an update? Thank you. Anybody else want to give an update? Their
No,
perspective.
I didn't hear anything about Hunter, and I don't know if Redman is still in the chat, but Redman said,
Defense rests.
Redman said
Kind of like she's just giving her take in there. Basically, Karmelo didn't testify. Possible reason is because he would have been up against seasoned prosecutors. They want to get him up on the stand to stomp.
I don't see nothing bad happening here. Maybe I'm missing it. Anyway, you guys, I think I'm just gonna end it there. I agree with you, Tiki Bar. Yes, for real. They should have got, oh my God, come on. Oh my God, thank you. Kane, thanks for the donation, Kane. You're so sweet. I agree with you though. They should have used those funds and gotten him a better lawyer. Like, what are you doing here? This is first degree charge. Like, stop fucking around. Stop it. Thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate everyone. We'll see what happens. Any last thoughts? What do you guys think? Not guilty, guilty? Put it in the chat what you think the outcome is going to be. I think he will be guilty. I'm not sure how that works, how the judge can present a second degree charge or a different charge. But as far as first degree murder, I just don't see, in my opinion, that charge fits this crime. So thank you all for being here. You guys rock. Thank you. Have a nice night. Peace.